Welcome back to Katana TCG. In this video, we're taking a look at the Zeraora VSTAR VMAX Battle Box and looking at some decks on how we can apply these new cards. When it's time to flex on your opponents in Top Cut this season, or even just upgrade your TCG accessories, make sure you're checking out inkgaming.com. They have a wide variety of custom playmats, custom dice bags, face masks, as well as mouse pads too, and a grip of sleeves and dice and deck boxes, all your TCG accessory needs. And you can use the code DADSPOD10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order from inkgaming.com. Your game, your style. This is identical to the Deoxys VMAX, VSTAR box, what have you. Comes with a copy of the VSTAR, and the VMAX, but just one line, so if you want to build a playset, definitely go hunt down some singles, or pick up a couple packages of these. You do get 4 packs of Pokemon cards, which is neat, but let's go ahead and dive into what the cards do, and then I'll show you some deck lists. Zeraora V has 210 HP for 1 lightning and 1 colorless. It does Claw Slash for 50 damage, and then for 2 lightning and 1 colorless, it does Thunderous Bolt for 190, and this Pokemon can't attack next turn unless you evolve. It's kind of a cool looking card. Looks like it has the thundery, stormy mountains behind it, which is pretty neat. 1 retreat cost, which is super reasonable and weak to fighting. Zeraora VSTAR has 270 HP for 2 lightning and 1 colorless. It does Crashing Beat for 190 damage, and you discard a stadium and play. Seems like an irrelevant additive to the attack, but it's still pretty cool. And it's VSTAR power Thunderstar for 3 lightning and 1 colorless. You can choose one of your opponent's Pokemon 4 times. And for each time you choose a Pokemon, do 60 damage to it. So you could stack that 4 times 60 damage on one Pokemon for 240, or you can knock out 4 Sobbles if you felt like it. So pretty cool attack. I really do like the ability to spread that much. It does have a pretty hefty attack cost, but it does have free retreat, which is really, really cool on a VSTAR Pokemon. Zeraora VMAX is 320 HP for 2 lightning. It does Reaction Pulse for 60 times damage. This attack does 60 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. This really capitalizes on things that use the Lost Box or Shady Dealings or any other abilities to help with their own personal consistency. This is a very, very good attack for 2 lightning. And then for 2 lightning and 1 colorless, it does Max Fist for 240, which is a really good number to hit in this format. You discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So seems like a really, really good card at face. Unfortunately, being weak to fighting does make it a pretty easy target for a lot of the easier attackers to set up in the format, like Urshifu and Galarian Zapdos. It does have a 2 retreat cost. But let's go ahead and dive into the list and see how we can apply these cards in the format. So I like the VMAX so much that I really think that in combination with using the Rapid Strike Zeraora that does Cross Fist for 1 lightning and 2 colorless, it does 100 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and if one of your Rapid Strike Pokemon attacked the previous turn, it does 160 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which is super duper sick. And this Zeraora V can evolve into our VMAX that has the Reaction Pulse attack, which I think is fantastic. Urshifu doesn't necessarily have the best matchup against things like Palkia, but Zeraora VMAX definitely helps you in that matchup, especially for only needing 2 energy to actually make it happen. It's really, really a cool card. Other than that, combining it with Urshifu to really balance its weaknesses and kind of fill out the rest of the matchups that Zeraora might have a hard time struggling against. We are running 2 Raihan to be able to easily set up things like Rapid Flow or set up the Zeraora in 1 turn, if you will, with a double attachment as you're accelerating 1 from the discard pile and then grabbing 1 from the deck if you need to. We also run Cheryl to be able to heal Zeraora if we need to. It is a little harder to set up energy on Zeraora, but it is really easy to send it back to the bench, Cheryl that off, attach an energy to Rapid Strike Urshifu, and continue to deal damage on back-to-back turns. Things like Choice Belt and Zigzagoon help the VMAX hit that nice 280 number, so I think that Zeraora VMAX is kind of something that Urshifu's been needing, which is a really hard-hitting attacker that just does outright damage to anything regarding weakness. And then super effective glasses actually help tremendously as well, making things like Arceus 3 times weak to things like Gmax Rapid Flow allows you to take a 1-hit knockout on something in the active and then pepper something on the bench, and not needing to evolve the Zeraora by adding a super effective glasses to this Zeraora V. It can actually hit 300 against Palkia, which is pretty sick. Other than that, I think that this probably isn't the most optimal way, but I do definitely see myself playing it with Urshifu in the future. Because Zeraora VSTAR does have a pretty hefty attack cost to use its VSTAR power, I was thinking something along the lines of Comfy and Chorus and the Lost Zone engine, and utilizing Mirage Gate to really set that up. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to take a whole bunch of Comfies in the mirror, as they have 70 HP, and being able to only spread 60 to 4 Pokemon if you wanted to makes that just a little uncomfortable. However, we do have something like Sableye to help clean up and be able to spread a bunch of damage counters around to take multiple prizes if we could line up the board state that way. You are playing a canceling clone to get around the spicy Manaphies, if you will. However, I think that the Zeraora VSTAR could definitely be applied. This just might not be the most optimal 60, but I definitely think it is one way to play it in a very fun and competitive way. And this list is loosely inspired on my teammate Tegan's list. He actually showed up to locals this week with Zeraora already built. I was very impressed with his list. I featured a couple additional attackers in the form of Raichu, Regieleki, and Zekrom, because in lightning boxes they just happen to be super effective and just add an extra layer of depth to the multifaceted lines of play that you can have in a deck like this. Running 2 canceling clone because snipe damage from Regieleki is pretty busted, plus the VSTAR power, being able to potentially chase after my opponent's Pokemon mid to late game with a massive amount of snipe damage is super sick. You have Stormy Mountains to get your Flaffy engine out as soon as possible. Radiant Greninja, just throw a bunch of lightning energy into the discard to help you draw through consistently, because Dynamotor is going to throw them back into play anyways. This deck seems like the most aggressive play with Zeraora, and I really do like his list. Zeraora seems pretty good, with Palkia being as powerful as it is. It really is time for us to have a pretty strong lightning attacker in the format, and I think Zeraora has the potential to scratch that itch, but we will see. If you like my content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to my channel, and comment below which other decks you want me to talk about below. I'm going to be doing a video very shortly about what I played for Salt Lake City, and I look forward to showing you all that in the future. Deuces.